Nasser, thanks very much for your time. We're here at the Oval, you won't be able to know, but we are. The place where England started their 2019 campaign with a big victory over South Africa. Just how important is the England-New Zealand game on the 5th next week?
Well, I mean, obviously, first of all, the memories from what happened last time. To have those two sides go head-to-head at Ahmedabad will be a great occasion. I'm going out there Monday. There's an opening ceremony the day before. So the occasion more than anything else, India World Cup. But then it does become, business end, because you win that first game. It's so vital, because I was looking the other day, every side seems to announce their side, and I go, oof, that looks a good side. And then, Australia today, and they've brought Labuschagne in, crikey, that looks a good side. South Africa, so it's a cliche, but there are no easy games. And what you don't want to be doing is playing catch-up cricket, lose your first couple or lose 2 out of your first 4, and then you're looking and you've suddenly got some massive games coming up. So I do think a good start, a good win. England have obviously got good memories against New Zealand, not only that day in 2019, but the last couple of one-dayers, they played good cricket against them. New Zealand are a tough side to beat.
And it's difficult not to look at this World Cup without looking back to 2019, to be honest with you. It felt like the preparation was so spot on last time. Do you think England have got it right this time? They've sort of played half the games. They maybe don't know their best team.
I don't think they had any other option really, and I think Rob Key and the selectors played it right. Before that last World Cup, a lot of the focus, not only that summer but for 3 years, had been about white ball cricket. Morgan and Strauss, after what happened in Australia, they turned around white ball cricket, and there was a lot of focus on that. This time there's had to be focus firstly on the T20 World Cup, which Butler and his team won, and then on the Ashes. So everything was put to end of August, beginning of September. These guys play so much white ball cricket now anyway. They've played so much white ball cricket in India. There's a lot of them with IPL experience. It won't be new to them. But you're right, they're not quite at the stage they were going into that last World Cup, especially with it being at home. Everything was absolutely geared. All they had to decide was Willie or Archer coming in for someone, and it ended up being David Willey. But they're still in a very good place with some very good cricketers.
And I have to ask you, obviously, about Jason Roy. Have England got that right?
I think in the end they probably have. Harry Brook is an outstanding talent. The only concern for me is probably you wake up, one of those openers wake up in the morning with a slight hamstring. That happened to Roy himself in the last World Cup. It nearly cost him really. Vince had to open for a couple of games and Roy came back in. So it can cost you because they haven't got another frontline opener in the squad. I guess Stokes could move, but you wouldn't want him to move. Root could move. Brook himself could open there. But I think Brook is such a talent. I think he has to be there. And with Roy not playing in those games against New Zealand, he left the door open really, and that injury and those back spasms cost him.
And you mentioned Brook there. Does he start for you in that first game?
I can't. Myself and Owen Morgan were having this discussion. I had him in, and then Morg said, "Have you got enough bowlers then?" I said, "Well, Root can bowl." So the balance of the side, it depends on conditions, and that's the thing in India actually. Everyone's saying spin, so many different conditions. It's early in the year, north, south, east, west, so many different grounds. Don't just think it's going to be packed with spin. I'm not sure he does. Because Livingston played so well towards the end of that series as well. Livingston may well bat 6. You could play Brook at 6, Livingston at 7, Moeen at 8. Just one. I prefer having a longer batting lineup. Yeah. But if he doesn't start, it shows the depth in English. I mean, we just had those games against Ireland, and you look at the likes of Duckett and Salt and Jacks and Crawley, batting in particular, the depth. Roy's not there, as we've mentioned. The depth in English batting in white ball cricket is phenomenal.
It really is frightening. Moving on to India, obviously hosts. Have to ask you about India. Are they favourites?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, history tells you the side that are topping the rankings generally do well. I think they've just gone up to number 1 in the world this week. And B, home side does well as well in the last 3 out of the last 4, I think it is the stat, have been won by the home side. So they've got both those bases covered. They've got most bases covered. They've got 2 of the greatest white ball batters there have ever been in Rohit Sharma with 3 double hundreds, and Kohli, who's just a phenomenal, in a run chase situation in particular, I couldn't think of anyone in white ball cricket who does it better. Bumrah's back, which is brilliant. The only thing about them, the two areas are that no fear cricket they play in bilateral cricket, where they just win everything in bilateral cricket. You know, they just won the Asian game, whatever. That sort of no fear cricket. When they go into a knockout game, they've got to play like that. And the second bit's related actually, is that their batters don't bowl, most of them, and most of their bowlers don't bat. So like the other day, they tried to fit in Siraj, Bumrah, Shami, Kuldeep, and then your tail starts to look a bit long. So then they have to maybe play a bowling all-rounder. So that's the balance of their side. I'm fascinated when I see them play, how they go. Whether they just play their best bowlers, which leaves them a bit short of batting, or whether they play the extra sort of bowling all-rounder, which means one of their genuine wicket takers is left out. So, but I still think they're huge favourites.
There's a bit of a conundrum there, isn't there? We've obviously got Jadeja and Ashwin, two of the best bowling or just outright all-rounders. There's a bit of a conundrum who they pick there. Do you think that's, you know, would you be picking Ashwin and Jadeja, or would you be going?
As we speak at the moment, they've not fully announced their squad. It looks like Ashwin's coming in for Akshar Patel. I was just reading a tweet saying,
well, there's another all-rounder.
Yeah, so they do, but then you got Akshar Patel and Jadeja spinning it away, and the matchups to left-handers you want an off-spinner, and then you get Ashwin, and then you get the extra batting depth. I would go Ashwin for those reasons, in as much as off-spinner with the Karen ball, so he can bowl to right-hand, left-hand, batting depth, experience. So we will see. I mean, Jadeja's a fabulous cricketer as well. So it's a cliche. They have nice problems. It's really that sort of number 8, number 9 slot. Everything else is perfect. Brilliant Bumrah, brilliant batting, great spinners. Shami, wonderful new ball bowler. It's just that 8 and 9, how they go will be fascinating.
Does their record in ICC tournaments over the last 10, 12 years, should that be a worry for India fans?
No, because I keep saying, you know, they got to do it when under pressure, but an Indian cricketer is always under pressure. I don't know, in Indian, you have to see him arrive at airports or whatever, and you know how much pressure. The thing is going to be magnified at home. And every news station already, you know, it's going full on World Cup. It's going to be World Cup fever, and that's the great thing about this World Cup being in India. I'm so looking forward to it. It's how they shut out the noise. You know, I think KL Rahul got a brilliant 100 against England a couple of years ago, and I think he was like that or something, his celebration, he said, you know, shut out the noise. Basically the pundits and all the talk and everything, how they shut out that noise will be the key, because if they can, then they play that fearless brand of cricket, then they'll be fine. They're a really good side.
Another team I wanted to ask you about is Pakistan. Obviously their preparation for this tournament perhaps not being ideal, their problems at the Asia Cup. How do you fancy their chances?
A great tournament side, mainly because of their bowling attack. If you have in any tournament, whether it be T20, 50 overs, if you have genuine wicket take, I think Owen Morgan said it a long time ago, the only way nowadays to stop, it sounds the most obvious thing, the only way to stop the run rate is to get wickets. If you don't take wickets, in some of the flat pitches in India in particular, you're looking at chasing 400. So you have to have wicket-taking bowlers in there. And with Shaheen Shah Afridi up front and Haris Rauf, they're going to miss Naseem Shah. I think that is a big blow for them. But any seamer that takes the part for Pakistan, they have seamers, you know, as long as you're armed, they'll keep coming at you. And they have that high-quality #1 ranked batter still, just even in Shubman Gill's pushing him, Babar Azam. You know, so I think they will, and they're a very good tournament side, and they will go. They got Netherlands up front first game. They could lose that. That is Pakistan for you, but then they'll go on a run. You look at the last World T20, they were out of it, and then suddenly there they are in the final. They are mercurial because that is the brand and style of cricket they play. They're an incredibly watchable side. I just think they need to get par and above with their batting. I think sometimes Babar and Rizwan bat time because they're worried about the length of their batting, and 50 overs becomes a long time for them. It's not like England. You know, Bairstow and Butler and everyone can go hard because you have Livingston, Curran, Wokes, even Wood, as we saw in the Ashes. You have so much batting mowing down the order. They can go hard and recover. Sometimes I think Pakistan, 50 overs is a long time. We'll get to a par score and then our bowlers will be able to defend that. I think You know, that's why Fakhar Zaman, for example, I think he's a fabulous player. If he can get him off to a flyer, and then Rizwan and Barber just knock it around and get an above par score. If they get an above par score against you, any team in that World Cup, you're in trouble.
Bro, and then just last couple of ones. Let's go back to 2003. Your skipper.
Do we have to?
Yeah, you have to.
It was going so well.
You can pick anyone in the world right now. Who would you pick in that side? Any cricketer.
Well, I mean, I'm going to have to pick an English cricketer because it was the England side.
Oh no, you don't have to pick it. Come on, we're playing free for Ultimate Team.
No,
pick anyone.
I know. I'm going to pick I'd pick Stokes. Simply because the World Cup, as we've seen with the last two World Cups, it is about handling pressure. How many times have we discussed, fearful, fearless, pressure, just handling pressure on a big occasion. The catch he took here, brilliant commentary out the boundary there, and World Cup final, Lords, World Cup final, MCG. You just, I don't know, I've never been there, but in a big knockout game in a World Cup, you want to look around your dressing room and you want to go, he's up for a fight. I had it in Test match cricket with Graham Thorpe, 20 for 2, I looked in the corner and I knew that little man Thorpe would go out there and he would do everything. And I think in a dressing room, and Stokes, well, that's why they've called him back. The opposition, if England are 20 for 2 in any knockout game, the last person they want to see coming out is Stokes. So I'd have Stokes.
Just two really quick ones. So, can you give me a left field prediction? It doesn't necessarily have to be about a team or a player or anything like that. What's your left field order?
Left field prediction. There'll be quite a few people watching India-Pakistan in Ahmedabad. That's not really left field. Left field prediction. Afghanistan will win a couple of games in this tournament. In those conditions, with the side they have, don't turn up to an Afghanistan game thinking, are we going to win this? Afghanistan will turn over a couple of sides in this tournament.
Brilliant. And then last one, greatest World Cup moment for you?
Ian Smith's commentary. I'm sorry, for me, as a cricketer, there were none. As a player, there were none. I watched the '92 World Cup, loved it, played in 2, hated it because we were so poor, and sat next to Ian Smith in 2009 giving a masterclass on one of the great, may not be in the greatest games as in over 100 overs or 100 overs and a super over, it just the end to it, and that last couple of hours at Lords and walking down and the atmosphere around Lords, that was special.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for your time, Nasser.
No worries. No worries.
The ICC Men's Cricket World Cup is live exclusively on Sky and now from the 5th of October.